10 minutes after 8 o'clock here on our National Day of Prayer. And it's time for Island Tea. Good morning, AZ. What's up?
Hey, good morning to everybody. My name is Azard Gumbs, and with me is the Jamster, and we're here this morning. And of course, you know that today is the National Day of Prayer. And as a result, I wish to share prayer with persons here today. It says, Dear Lord, we come before your throne today not to ask for anything, but to simply say thank you. Thank you for the gift of life and the lives of our family. Thank you for our job, and thank you for all the food that you have provided for us. Thank you for the strength and health that you have given to us. Thank you for giving us a space to lay our heads. We are truly grateful, Lord. Thank you for your traveling mercies, for being our shepherd through the dark times. We say thank you for saving us from our own traps. We say thank you for saving us from the traps of our enemies. We say thank you. We give all the glory and adoration for all that you have done for us. We are humbled by your grace and your everlasting love for us. Thank you, dear Lord. Thank you. And today is February 28th, 2023. I wish to shout out to my father, Junie Gumbs, who is also celebrating his birthday today. He's making the big 5'4", and so I'm happy for him. I want to say a wonderful day to him as he celebrates his day today, February 28th, 2023. Jamster, there are a number of things happening. I know you have stories that you are willing to share and discuss. Is there anything on your mind right now?
Well, I guess I could talk about something I was musing about when we had that. You know, when we had that hurricane and it seemed like it was heading straight for us.
Yes.
And then
the last day just swerved.
Yes, and I remember some like an elder was saying to me that there are a lot of people
praying.
Yes, that kind of stuck with me. And I remember, you know, the cynical part of me says, National Day of Prayer, you know, a whole bunch of wicked people, prayer my butt and so on. Like I always think it's a self-serving thing, right? And but I guess maybe there's something to it. The thing is, one of the problems I have is that the politicians, I find it seems to me like they do this. Well, not seems. They do a lot of performative church going and so on, I think, right? It's all part of the political theater, so to speak. And it seems like they are it seems like they miss a lot of the core tenets of a lot of the core tenets that the creator laid down. Because I mean, yeah, you guys go to church, every Sunday or whatever, and then yet you look around and you see corruption, and you see misplaced priorities, and you see self-interest at work. And so yeah, you can't help but being cynical. But yes, yeah, I like the prayer you did, pray, because like the elders always said too, that we get a lot of undeserved kindness from God, right?
Yeah.
So
many, as you say, many kindness that we don't deserve. In
Yes.
fact, he has been good to all of us.
yeah, so yes, we have to be thankful for the day the Lord has made again today.
Yes. And of course, Jam, so we've been discussing this in the news yesterday when it came out, but NIA ministers Brantley ran victorious as judge strikes out opposition election petitions. So this is a WinFM news article that stated February 27th. And it says the election petitions brought against elected representatives in the Nevis Island Assembly and the sitting ministers in the Nevis Island administration, Premier Matt Brattley and the Honorable Spencer Brand, were on Monday 27th February 2023 struck out and dismissed. That's what the article said. It says Premier Brattley's victory as the Concerned Citizens Movement candidate in Nevis 2 St. John in December 12, 2022, Nevis Island administration was challenged by his opposition, Dr. Patricia Bartlett of Nevis Reformation Party, while Honorable Brand, the CCM candidate for Nevis 1, St. Paul's, saw his election victory challenged by NRP candidate Miss J.D. Keynes. The petitions also named the Electoral Commission, the Supervisor of Election, respective registration and returning officers, and the Attorney General of St. Kitts and Nevis as respondents.
Yeah. So, does that mean that they can reapply?
No,
Maybe
they won't be able to.
Okay.
Because I think it's the issue of time here. Look at it. It says
Yeah,
on
that-
Monday,
yeah.
Justice
Yeah,
Thompson Jr. ruled that the case submission for Mrs. Keynes' election petition was filed outside of the 21-day statutory requirement for a valid presentation of election petitions as set out in the Constitution, and was therefore a nullity and struck out. With respect to Dr. Bartlett's petition, Justice Thompson Jr. stated that because the petitions were not properly filed by the stipulated time, this court is compelled to find that Dr. Bartlett's petition is struck out for non-compliance.
Okay.
Mm.
So,
And then cost goes to the respondents.
the respondent would be who?
Those would be Mark, Spencer, the AG, and all those listed as parties.
So even though they're the ones who filed, they're
Yeah.
gonna pay costs.
That's why you have to be
Oh.
very careful when you bring a
Hmm.
matter to the court. Yeah.
That seems kind of backwards, though. No, because you're saying that the people who didn't file they had applied for it to be struck out.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they succeeded.
Okay. But then shouldn't have been NRP paying?
Well, essentially, it would be the ones who filed them. It would be the ones who brought the claim to pay the costs.
Yeah, but you said Mark and there.
No, the costs will be given to them. Will be paid to them.
Oh, no, I thought you said Mark, like the CCM side. That's what I was.
If I did say that, that was a mistake. It
Okay,
means
yeah.
They will be paid costs. The cost goes to
okay.
them.
That's what I was saying. It
Cost
sounded
goes to them,
backwards.
meaning that the cost will be given to
Given to them, yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
And you heard the story this morning on I think this was something we discussed a few weeks ago. You remember the Grenadian
I think I
the
know
British
you mean.
family.
Yes,
that,
yes.
The Trevelyan family. They
Yes.
decided that they were going to pay some reparations to Grenada. They, because they have family members that had plantations there.
Remember, there was another family who decided to pay reparations as well. Is
The
that
same
the
one.
same one?
Yeah,
Okay.
same one. Yeah. So apparently it's happening today.
Oh, so
yeah, it's happening.
Oh,
today,
so they
apparently.
spoke about it, and today is when
today
it's
is
going
when
to
gonna
happen.
Yeah, and
Okay.
apparently they're going to be setting up a scholarship at is it UE? Let me see. UE, yeah. They're going to be setting up a scholarship at UE.
Oh, that's amazing.
£1,000. But the thing about it is, there's some people who will hear the figures, right?
Mhm.
And they will say, 100,000, that's no money. And they'll say, £1,000 for a scholarship, that's no money. But it's a thought that counts, because they have done way more than anybody else has ever done, and no one else wants to admit that they enjoy their privilege and their riches and their wealth and their landedness because of slavery and colonialism. So for me, it's a thought that counts.
Well, I don't know if they've done more than anyone else has done.
No, I mean in terms of like a family stepping.
Mhm.
I've never heard of this before.
I mean,
family.
I haven't heard, but me not hearing doesn't mean that something hasn't been done.
This is true.
Yeah.
This is true, but
Yeah, but
you can't put too fine a point in it. I mean, I think we probably would have
or
heard.
to absolute a point either.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, I understand what you mean. It's a good way of giving back, and it's Also good to see that persons are recognizing, you know, some societal ills and trying to correct those. So here it says, and this is a WINFM, well, this is a Jamaica Observer article. And it says, Prime Minister Holness leads special mission to Haiti. It says that Jamaica Prime Minister Andrew Holness left the island Monday morning to lead a special CARICOM mission to Haiti. He's expected to return later this evening. In a release on Monday, Jamaica House stated that the representatives from the Bahamas, Trinidad and Tobago, as well as the CARICOM Secretariat will be part of the mission. Haiti has been facing humanitarian challenges since the assassination of President Moise, with gangs overtaking parts of the country, erected toll booths on main roads where they collected monies from motorists for safe passage and run police officers from their stations, which were destroyed. Some countries have promised aid to Haiti as they face this time of turmoil, including Holness, who has said last month that Jamaica is willing to send members of security forces to Haiti as part of its international efforts aimed at restoring stability to the violence-torn nation. The release added that other Jamaicans who are part of the delegation include Minister of Foreign Affairs and Trade, Senator Kamina Johnson-Smith, and Ambassador Rocky Mead. During Holness's absence, Deputy Prime Minister Dr. Horace Chang will oversee the government. So, Jamsa, you see the Jamaica officials, they have headed to Haiti in order to assist with the situation that is going on. The Prime Minister of Jamaica has said that he is willing to send security forces to Haiti in order to assist with what seems to be, you know, a total violence-torn situation, where it is that, you know, stability is, they're trying to restore stability over in that country since the assassination of their last president.
And imagine, it's always the people with the least. Jamaica stepping up to, basically, you could call it a peacekeeping role.
What do you mean the least?
Well, they don't have the means. We don't have the means like the bigger countries. That's what I mean. And you know, there's a logistical tail comes picking up all these military terms from news. Logistical tail, meaning if you have, say, a peacekeeping, it's very similar to if you're going to fight. The logistical tail means you have to provide supplies, transportation, maintenance of equipment, ammunition. So Jamaica has to find money for all of that.
Yep.
So pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I actually found a clip with the Trevelyan family actually giving the actual apology. It's on Loot News. I just pulled it up.
I saw it. I was going to send to you, but I thought it would have been too late.
Okay. I don't think it's that long, so maybe we
could play it. Let persons see what is going on.
Yeah. Okay. So here we go.
Well, let them hear.
Okay. Okay. What's going on here now? Oh, okay. As usual, computers doing as they like.
To the people of Grenada, we, the undersigned, write to apologize for the actions of our ancestors in holding your ancestors in slavery on estates which included Tempe, Simon, Requin, La Sagesse, Beausejour, Soubise, Crochou, Grand Bras, St. Cloud and Chantilly. Part owned by Louisa Simond and Sir John Trevelyan, 4th Baronet of Nettlecombe and Wallington, and later their children in the 18th and 19th centuries.
Slavery was and is a crime against humanity. Its damaging effects continue to the present day. We repudiate our ancestors' involvement in it.
We apologise to the surviving descendants of the enslaved on those estates for the continuing impact on their daily lives, their health, and their well-being. We are grateful to the Centre for the Studies of the Legacies of British Slavery at University College London for publishing the results of their research based on the records of financial compensation paid by the British government to British plantation owners.
We urge the British government to enter into meaningful negotiations with the governments of the Caribbean in order to make appropriate reparations through CARICOM and bodies such as the Grenada National Reparations Commission.
After consulting with the Grenada National Reparations Commission, Laura Trevelyan, which is me, is making a donation of £100,000 to establish an education fund at the University of the West Indies Open Campus here in Grenada. Details of that fund will be determined by the GNRC in collaboration with the UWI and the Government of Grenada.
Other Trevelyan family members are donating money towards bursaries for the UWI Grenada Open Campus Initiative and supporting the Grenada Education and Development Programme, GRENED. Family members also wish to offer their time to ongoing projects in Grenada. This letter has been signed by 104 of the descendants of the part owners of these plantations, 7 of whom are here with us, and I'm going to call them up to come and sign this letter in your presence. So, there's myself and Laura, Humphrey Trevelyan, Peter Trevelyan, Tom Trevelyan, George Trevelyan, and Alex Dower. And I understand, Tom, you have the master copy.
Okay, I guess we can end it there. That's the Trevelyan family making the announcement and doing the official handover. So that section is basically you can go to Loop News and take a look at the video. Thoughts?
Yeah, I think they seem very sincere in their approach. I mean, they didn't have to do it, in the sense that no one forced them to. They have taken it upon themselves. They have seen what has been done in the past, and as a part of, just trying to say sorry, and to give some sort of contribution.
And I'm here for the hat. The hat that made them step up to do that.
Yeah,
I mean,
you could tell by their speech they seem very sincere.
There's some. It reminds me of. I know some women, right? Who have dated where I would buy them. I bought them some roses, right? And they will say something like, "You, how much those roses cost?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, you couldn't give me the money." And I'm like, "Well, at least appreciate the thought." I mean, everything, you can't be so brutally practical all the time.
Yes.
Sometimes practicality, you just have to put practicality by the side. Because, okay, maybe if the flowers cost $100, okay, yeah, you might be thinking, oh, well, $100, I could have done this, I could have done that. But I brought you a bouquet of flowers. Yeah. It's a thought that counts, right?
But if you realize that the person doesn't want the flowers more over and over, just give them the $100 next time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what usually happens. So we're getting ready to join Janice Daniel Hodge, and she is the leader of the NRP, and she just won her seat as well, right?
Yep.
Yes. So
in December 2022.
December 2022. And what are we hoping to hear from her?
Well, a lot has been going on. We've heard about the situation with the NRP. They just had budget debates just recently. And I mean, we just had the election petitions. So it's a lot to talk about. I think this is a fitting time.
For real.
Mm-hmm.
It's 8:30, so we're gonna be joining Janice at any moment, and she will be joining us. We're just getting that set up here on Zoom, and later on at is it 9 o'clock? 9 o'clock, Alwita Simpson Brown will be joining. Right?
Yes.
Yeah. Why did you laugh? Why did you laugh? Were you thinking she might not be able to make it? What was that about? You laughed when I said it. Why?
I smiled.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay, let's take a quick break. Go to the commercials, and we're going to be having Dr. Janice Daniel Hodge on the other side.
Yes.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib. It's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Hello.
Girl Jean,
What's up, girl? Talk to me.
you know I'm working hard on being even more active, right? So we're going to the TDC Home and Building Depot to get a blender, weights, a yoga mat, and a bike for Clive too.
You serious? Something keeping there?
Yes, girl, all month long. Shop in store, get 20% in savings on health and wellness products like blenders, juicers, air fryers, waist trainers, and more.
Girl, Betty, you're joking.
I don't have time for jokes. Get yourself sorted because in February we're staying active with TDC HBD.
Yes, girl.
Terms and conditions apply. See store for details.
Want to win some prizes for you and your love? Well, this Valentine's you can in Pick 4's Spin for Love promotion with the Caribbean Lottery. Spend $15 or more on Pick 4 and place your non-winning tickets into the drop box provided for a chance to spin our love wheel all through February. Win sweet Valentine's prizes like dinners for two, free groceries, and more. Get your Pick 4 tickets today at any Caribbean Lottery retail agents island-wide. Must be ages 21 and over to play.
King Ocean, king of the Caribbean seas, announces king-size savings on shipments from Miami to St. Kitts. We have the best service and competitive rates on LCL and FCL cargo, including D&E containers, cars, heavy equipment, buses, boats, and barrels from Miami to St. Kitts. LCL pickup service anywhere in the U.S. Call local agents SL Horseman and Company Limited at 869-465-4086 or 869-662-5008 for further details. King Ocean's king-size savings on shipments from Miami to St. Kitts Nevis. King Ocean, king of the Caribbean seas.
Good morning, good morning. Good morning. We have here with us the Honorable Dr. Janice Daniel Hodge, who is the leader of the Nevis Reformation Party, the NRP. Good morning, Dr. Hodge.
Good morning, Mr. Gumbs. How are you?
I am well. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty well considering all things. Thanks for the opportunity to be here with you this morning.
Thank you for accepting the opportunity to be here. It has indeed been, we are indeed grateful, I must say, to have you here this morning to speak on a number of issues as it relates to what is happening in Nevis and within your party as well.
Certainly.
Let me first say congratulations, Dr. Hodge, on your election to Parliament in Nevis, having won that seat in December 2022. I am sure you are overjoyed.
Well, certainly overjoyed, but would have been more overjoyed had the all of the seats would have been won in St. James's, Nevis 4, where I won my seat. I must take this opportunity to say thank you to all of those people who came out and voted. I think across Nevis, the message was clear that the country, the economy was in a downward spiral, and we really needed new ideas. We really needed a caring government to respond to the needs of the people in these challenging times. And so, indeed, I was pleased that the people of St. James's would have voted for me in the election of December 12th. Likewise, the people across Nevis came out in their numbers and voted. And we did have the decision for two petitions that were filed, because based on what would have happened during the elections and leading up to the elections, we felt, and a number of people in Nevis and across the region felt that the outcome, what we saw on the morning of December 13th, did not reflect the wishes and what was being said and leading up to that point in time. And so there were the petitions filed, and the decision was rendered yesterday. It is not the decision that we were expecting, because obviously we speak so much about democracy and upholding democracy. We speak about our desire to be a sustainable country.
Mm-hmm.
And when we consider that, irregularities were so abundant, we recognize that there were no observers to the elections. And when we look at the effort and the manpower that was put in place to strike out the petitions, one must really wonder, if the quest for to be a sustainable country and the quest to be a democratic society is really heartfelt, or if it's just a play on words. And so it is unfortunate that the cases the petitions were struck out. And this really is a situation where the judge has indicated, and based on what was presented to him, that he does not see the merit in moving forward to hear the actual case. And it's unfortunate that was based on technicality, so to speak. And so one really must question, if we're really looking at technicalities, or are we looking for justice, and we're looking for democracy and sustainability in the development of our country. And so, having said all of that, yes, I'm very happy that I won my seat, but it is quite unfortunate, I feel, that the wishes of the people across Nevis were not expressed, and they were not able to really enjoy the change that they voted for.
Well, let me say to you formally, congratulations on being elected as the Member of Parliament for your constituency. I know that seat was held by the CCM for some time. I know that persons might have had their doubts. I think it's safe to say that from certain standpoints, you were seen as the underdog. And so to have been successful in that seat, I think it shows a lot. I think it's something that you should be proud of.
Well, thank you, Mr. Gumbs. And really, I did put in a lot of work. I did take the time to reach the people, to understand their needs and their concerns and what they would like to see in a NRP government. But I must say that this is not something that I did by myself. I did have quite an active team, and a lot of the NRP supporters and workers came out. A lot of people who were on the fence, so to speak, and recognized that the country was really, or the island was really going in a downward direction, really came out and really decided this was the time for us to make that change. And so there were a number of people who came out, all hands were on deck. And like I said, it's just unfortunate that all of the irregularities that came into play, I would say the majority of people residing here on Nevis are not very happy with the outcome. And but there are processes that can be looked at. And so while I do say thank you, I did work very hard. I would not want anyone to think that it was a easy accomplishment. Lots of sacrifices were made along the way, but I must say that there was a strong team and a strong force of people who recognized that this was the time, and everybody really rolled up their sleeves and put in the work to try to get that change. That we knew it was not going to be easy. We know that there are a number of forces at play that must be overcome. We knew from the beginning that the playing field was not a level one. And so we tried our best and worked maybe 2-3 times as hard as the incumbent. And, based on, like I said, forces beyond our control, leading up to, on the day of, and even after election. I mean, I think there's certain forces beyond our control, but, I am a spiritual person, and I do believe that, God has a divine plan, and there is going to be a divine intervention, and the people of Nevis would ultimately receive what they deserve in terms of a caring government, a government that really understands what it is to serve the people, and a government that understands that good governance and democracy and inclusiveness is all part and parcel of really trying to build a sustainable economy and build a sustainable country.
So, thank you. So, we're going back to December. So, December 12th, we had 2 candidates of the NRP elected before we had a 4-1 situation where CCM received 4 and the NRP only held 1 seat. And so we are on December 12th, 2022. I assume the NRP is excited and a lot is happening, a lot of prospective wishes are there, and persons are seeing it as an opportunity now for the NRP to step forward and to become a stronger opposition to the CCM. And we have seen where it is that a member of the NRP that ran with the NRP, member elected to the Nevis Island Assembly, has since resigned. The member would have indicated that in order for that person to support you as leader, they would have had to choose the senator. And there are some persons who are out there saying that, on one hand, if it is that you elect a leader, and still, if you elect a leader on the premise that that individual gives you the senator pick, then it's as though you are the leader yourself. And there are other persons who share the view that, yes, that's how politics works. You give the individual the opportunity to be the leader, and then you compromise and have the other person select the senator. What are your thoughts on this? I know that you will have made a position, but we had a member of your party who said that she wished to have a choice in picking the senator. It seemed like that did not happen, and as a result, and she did not support you, then was conditionally suspended, and now she has resigned.
Well, I don't think everything that you have said just now is correct. And the position that I have taken is basically that the intention of the NRP, the Nevis Reformation Party, is to provide a better government for the people of Nevis. And so while there may be some difference of opinions within the functioning of our party, etc., it's not everything that really should be the subject of public debate. And it's unfortunate that a lot of what should have been handled in-house found its way in the public space. And of course, there is no control over, over any bits of information once it gets into that space. And so, necessary measures are being looked at. And what I can say is that with regards to the opposition to the CCM, to the government, we have not lost focus that the CCM is not performing. They have not performed over the last 7 or more years. And that is clear in the budget that was presented. And when we speak about it's the same old, we look at a budget that really there is nothing new and exciting that jumps out to captivate the minds of the young people, to motivate the young people. And when you can see a budget where a large part of the campaign for the CCM was about Nevis's fair share. And when you look at Nevis's fair share under the CBI, you have not heard that issue arise again. And the reason why I'm tying that in now is because these are the things that lead us down this road where we are right now. We have a situation where CBI fair share would have tugged at the hearts of the people of Nevis. And some of the votes that they would have received is because people really felt we will give them another try there in the federal cabinet, and we give them a try to secure Nevis's fair share. That has not happened. And when we look at the budget that was presented, whether it's 3, 4, or however many people in opposition, it is clear to see that the budget presented by the CCM government is one that is still highly dependent on the CBI proceeds. And since election, no steps have been made to advance, the argument. I've heard, after the throne speech, there's going to be some discussion, a committee is going to be formed. We've presented a budget. And interestingly, $66 million of that budget, of the NIA budget, is earmarked for capital projects. And is it a coincidence that $66 million is what is being provided by the CBI? And so here we have a situation where capital projects are entirely dependent on the CBI proceeds, but you're not seeing the action taken by the Premier to ensure that we get, as he would say, our fair share, which should be a lot more than the $66 million. And so we are going to be holding him accountable to that. The fact of the matter is, the capital projects that have been presented are really, it's just a matter of maintaining and repairing, and nothing new, no new industries coming forward. And so the situation really right now with regards to NRP, we're not in government, we're not able to deliver the new and innovative and exciting projects that people were so looking forward to see common stream under an NRP government. Of course, we would have campaigned on the framework of the Sustainable Development Goals. And that is why I'm a bit, frustrated, if I may say that. When we speak about, we're all aware of the Sustainable Development Goals. We're aware if our country, if our island is going to be sustainable, this is the benchmark that we should be looking at. And when we see that a petition has been filed to address the irregularities, and these are not irregularities that just popped up because we know the Labour government would have made a big issue about what was going on in the electoral office. And to see that now here is an opportunity, the NRP has taken the stance and said, this is a time we must take this matter before the court so that all issues can be aired and the judge can make a decision. And lo and behold, the judge has taken the decision to strike out application. And so all of the issues will not be able to be vetted in a court so that we can start to look at these issues. So when we speak about, whether, the strength of NRP, the issues are clear, and, we are certain right now that electoral reform is something that must be high on everybody's agenda. When people are in government, they tend to overlook these things. There's something called karma, what goes around comes around. And at this point in time, I am saying that NRP is aware of what our situation is right now. We're doing what is required so that at the next election, whenever that may be, NRP can be in a position to ensure that the people would have the confidence that NRP is a government that can really bring the change to the people of Nevis that they so desperately need. I mean, I don't mean to go on and on, but I didn't realize it was only half an hour. But I
it is okay.
I must mention in this breath with regards to the budget that was presented,
yes,
and all capital projects tied to the proceeds from CBI, and then the Premier would then still go on to say that these are just projections and it depends on the ability to attract funding. And so I have looked at everything I've been hearing, about the Africa Exim Bank and the meetings and the MOU that is signed. And I'm saying the issues that are being looked at with regards to renewable energy and collaboration and solar energy and geothermal and smart metering, etc. And I'm saying, where is the premier of NEVIS in all of this? Because we know that geothermal energy is the cleanest form, cheapest form of renewable energy. We know that NEVIS has one of the best geothermal resources in the region, if not in the world. And here is the Africa Exim Bank coming, having meetings, discussing ways in which they can collaborate. And I'm saying, but for someone who is in every photo op that you can think of, here is one that would have some meaning, some substance, where we could say, how can NEVIS, based on the resources that we have, how can we position ourselves in this bigger picture with the federal government to ensure that NEVIS can get some of the benefits of this negotiation? We're not seeing the premier, and so it just strikes me that when we speak about government to help the people, Mr. Gumbs, the small businesses in NEVIS are drowning in the fuel surcharge that they must still pay. And here is an opportunity to negotiate, even to put something, short-term measure to help relieve the small businesses from the fuel surcharge that they must pay. I mean, as I walk out and I listen to small businesses, they are fighting, they are drowning in the surcharge bill. And so whatever revenues they generate, when they could have hired 2 or 3 people, they can only hire 1 person. And so the efficiency of the business goes down because they have to make sure they have money to pay for these high bills. And I'm saying these are the things that you must really look at, and you must really say how best. And so, invited or not, I would have found some way to ensure that the concerns that we have here in NEVIS are included in whatever MOU. I mean, I know the MOU, I know the other Charleston Accord. He had all kinds of things laid out for NEVIS. None were acted upon. We ended up having the government, mash up, so to speak. And so when we look at MOUs, but I must say that I do have some confidence, a high level of confidence, knowing that Dr. Joyelle Clark is in charge of the Climate Action, Ministry of Climate Action and Sustainable Development, because I know her, she's a hard worker, and she really does fight, look out for the best interests of the people. But I don't expect that Dr. Clark is going to come over to NEVIS to find out what our concerns over here would be and how can she incorporate them in a grant application to make sure that NEVIS gets some of the benefits. And that is where the government really needs to step up. I mean, it's all good and well to be in opposition and say yes, but that is one thing. I'm talking about NEVIS. And as a premier of NEVIS, as a leader of NEVIS, he should be front and center in any discussion that deals with, assistance for renewable energy, whether it's a soft loan, concessionary loans, however, that should be something that the people of NEVIS should be hearing about.
Dr. Hunt, this is Jamster. Question. I could have sworn I heard, wasn't an announcement made, I think sometime last year, that the Caribbean Development Bank was going to be providing funding for the geothermal project in NEVIS. And and the other question, that's just an aside, but a related question. I have 2 questions for you. The first question is, why has it taken so long for if the geothermal is so amazing, why have successive governments not gotten it off the ground? I mean, I've been hearing about this for, it seems like a million years, and it hasn't gotten off the ground. Okay, that's question number 1. Question number 2, you pointed out that Mr. Brantley seems to be putting all his fiscal eggs in one basket as far as income, the CBI. What plans do you have to diversify the economy of NEVIS? You can.
All right, thanks for those questions. Okay. Yeah. So with regards to the geothermal and the CDB financing that was arranged, the CDB has been around for a very long time, and you may recall that year after year, when we asked for an update regarding the advancement of geothermal development here on Nevis, you would hear from the Premier that he's in the last stages of negotiations with an investor, potential investor, and we're nearing completion. And so the Premier, I feel, was out of touch with the reality of how to advance the geothermal project, because CDB has been around. And I know that you may recall there was a time when there was some exploration in St. Kitts with regards to looking for geothermal. That project was also administered through the CDB to advance geothermal in the country. And at that time, for whatever reason, and St. Kitts explored their potential for geothermal, the results would have shown that advancing geothermal in Nevis would be the better way, more cost effective and productive way to go. And so we came back to it. But still, the Premier fails to recognize that CDB was established to provide green climate funding to assist with projects such as these. And so in his world where he operates, with these investors, private investors, it was very difficult to get the capital, the upfront capital, which is what CDB can provide now and what they could have provided 5-6 years ago. And so we see a trend with this, CCM government, where they prefer to try to get private investors first, for whatever reason, I don't know. I know with CDB, there's a lot of accountability, there's a lot of transparency. You must ensure that, all your T's are crossed and your I's are dotted. We have learned that a very difficult way, because it appears that is the reason why, the election petitions will not be heard. T's were not crossed and I's were not dotted, notwithstanding the substantive benefits that could have been derived from allowing the case to be heard. But we have recognized there's a trend with the CCM government where they prefer to, pursue private investors before looking at the regional establishments and the such as what you would find in CARICOM and OECS. And so CDB was there all along. And so I guess when they recognized and when, I started speaking about the need to pursue CDB for the advancement of geothermal, all of a sudden, we understand that he was waiting on a letter from his government. He was waiting on a letter from his government to invoke CDB. We know that is not the case. We know he did not care, a single bit about advancing geothermal through the avenues of a corporate entity such as CDB, where you would have to actually do work to ensure that you comply with the requirements. And so as a last resort, I guess back against the wall, this is where CDB came to the fore, and they're moving forward at this point in time. But we say it was laziness, a lack of understanding why geothermal, based on where we would have gotten it up to that point, why geothermal has not moved forward. And not to mention, an election gimmick. Each time you come in and you dig a well. The last report we heard from the manager of Nevlec is that the last well that was dug has to be condemned because it was not done properly. And so I'm certain had CDB funding been used in that regard, the oversight and the accountability that would have been required would not have allowed for those monies to be wasted to now have to condemn and go back.
We have about 2 minutes left, but the economic diversification question, can you answer that in about 30 seconds?
Yeah, in about 30 seconds, it's going to be hard to do. But again, we speak to the sustainability. We speak to the reason why we see so many governments across the region setting up ministries of climate action and sustainability. Because the type of funding that you can obtain, whether it's grants or concessionary loans, to build projects, to build resilience to climate change, that is the way to go. And you would have heard, from President Biden speaking about the new means of creating jobs by, building green energy, etc. I'm rushing now, but the whole reason of the COP26 and the COP27 and all of these COPs, Conference of the Parties, that is where you go and you find out which developed countries in a position to provide funding so that they can meet their quota of assisting developing countries with their efforts. And the efforts then would turn into creating jobs, because you must stabilize your roads to prevent your marine resources from becoming, overwhelmed with sedimentation. You must build offshore structures to protect your coastlines from erosion. You must find ways to recycle, plastics, etc. And most importantly, as we're moving towards solar and renewable energy, you must have your workforce that has the capacity to maintain these industries. So as far as maintenance and repair, etc., we heard the Premier speaking about he's going to develop a new college. What is the focus? NRP, we have said over and over again, we must develop a tertiary institution that can fit the direction in which we are going. And so when we speak about the need for solar energy and the installation and the repair, when we speak about the digital era and the need to be able to create apps and use apps, etc., these are the things that we would want to develop and to build a college for. Not just to say you're building a college. And so along those lines, those are the things that we would have explored, and not just explore, but really move to implement so that we can create jobs for the people of Nevis and keep Nevis ahead of the curve.
Okay, Dr. Hodge, we're gonna have to leave it there.
But wait, Jamsa, before we do that,
but we do have
wait,
to leave it there.
Jamsa,
It's 1 minute after.
Yeah, I know. Let us thank the Honorable Doctor for being here and for giving up her time. It has been a pleasure, Dr. Hodge, to have you. And I want to say thank you. And I want to say I am sorry that we didn't have enough time, but we are grateful and wish to have you back anytime that you're available.
All right, thank you for having me. And had I realized it was only 30 minutes, I would have structured myself a bit, but there's a whole lot that I would like to get out there. So I do thank you for the opportunity for having me this morning.
No problem, Doctor. Do have a fantastic day.
You do as well.
Thank you.
Care.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
Okay, it's National Day of Prayer. We've got another prayer for you. We'll be doing prayers every hour on the hour, and this prayer was scheduled for 9 o'clock. So here we go.
You found the sound. 98.9. Win FM.
Prayer by Reverend Tyrone Hunkins, Ebenezer Methodist Church.
Prayer for the security forces of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we pray for the security forces of our Federation, St. Kitts and Nevis. These include the St. Kitts and Nevis Defense Force, both the infantry unit, known as the St. Kitts Nevis Regiment, and the maritime unit, known as the St. Kitts Nevis Coast Guard, and its reserve elements. We also pray for the police force with all its various units, the paramilitary special services unit, the drug unit, the special victims unit, the Office of Professional Standards, and the White Collar Crimes Unit. We pray for the Honorable Dr. Terence Drew, Prime Minister of our Federation and Minister of National Security, Major J. Anthony Comrie, Commander of the St. Kitts Nevis Defense Force. Grant wisdom, O God, to them and to all those who fall under their command in the interests of national security. Grant them good physical and mental health to enable them to perform their duties with agility, a deep sense of justice for all, wisdom to make sound decisions, and that would enable them to properly secure the people of our Federation without the unnecessary loss of precious lives. Give them courage to make the necessary sacrifices in the effective execution of their duty. protect their homes and families, especially in times of crises and disasters such as hurricanes and earthquakes, when their own families are vulnerable and in need of their presence and support. But duty demands that they leave their homes and families in the interests of securing the nation. Omniscient God, provide to our security forces adequate equipment and facilities, efficient training, and everything else they need to make our federation a happier and safer place to live. We ask all these in the name of Jesus Christ, our conquering Savior and Lord. Amen.
So who you left the kids with tonight? Nobody. They're big enough to take care of themselves.
Girl, you mad? Junior only 7 years old. And suppose something happened to the baby while you're out here?
My mother was leaving me home by myself since I'm 5. He can handle it. Nothing gonna happen.
This don't feel right. Call and check on them.
Look, I work hard all week. I deserve this break. Besides, they're good. Hello?
Leaving underage children at home by themselves is child neglect. Need support? See if another family member or a trusted neighbor can help. This message brought to you by UNICEF, UKAID, Crime Stoppers, and this station.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Portsmouth's Value Mart IGA is helping you spend less and save more. How, you ask? Essential Everyday and Equaline. Spend less on our essential everyday products and get the best quality, the best taste, and the best value. Spend less for all your family health and beauty needs with the Equaline brand of over-the-counter products. Portsmouth's Value Mart IGA is helping you spend less. With our essential everyday products and Equaline over-the-counter health and beauty care products. Shop smart and spend less at Value Mart, where price matters most.
It's on 10 minutes after 9 o'clock, and we're standing by for Elwita Simpson Brown. She's the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Ecclesiastical Affairs, and she's going to be talking about the National Day of Prayer. And AZ, you know, that's what that ministry is about.
Yes,
it's about
you know,
the government's relationship with, I guess, churches. And,
yes, the different churches, and it's, you know, it's the National Day of Prayer, Jam. So I hope you said a prayer in the morning before you left home.
You don't want to hear the answer to that. So we're hoping that she should be calling at any minute now. So we're going to be waiting to hear from Elwita Simpson Brown. National Day of Prayer. And just to let our listeners know, there'll be prayers on the hour at every hour right up until 6 o'clock. And just they don't want to step on Miss Hodges' toes or AZ's toes, but we had a prayer scheduled for 9 o'clock. I wanted to make sure that we got that in. But Elwita Simpson Brown, she should be calling in at any moment, and she's going to be talking the National Day of Prayer. So I imagine that there are some official.
Yeah, she's going to tell us what's going on today. You know, some persons might not be aware. So she's going to give us the opportunity to get informed about the National Day of Prayer today. And of course, we are celebrating this day as a nation, praying for, you know, our people, praying for our country, praying for, you know, I'm sure safety, everything, because we are a blessed nation and we have to continue to give God thanks for what He has done for us, you know, Jamster.
Let me ask you a question. Lent is Lent just a Catholic thing, or is it?
No, we are celebrating. I think, but I don't know
it's
why.
More of a Catholic thing.
I don't.
Right?
Yeah. Well, you know, the Catholic Church is one of the first.
Yeah, first.
Yeah.
Well,
it was the first Christian church. Yeah. So, she's calling me in. So let's see how it goes.
Okay. So she will be calling us at any moment. We've got a notice here I want to share with you guys in the meantime. It's from the Ministry. It's from the Ministry of Social Development and Gender Affairs. The Ministry of Social Development and Gender Affairs wishes to advise the general public that payments to households with children whose head of household is employed will be delayed. Households headed by seniors, persons with disabilities, and the unemployed with children will receive their payments by the established pay date of Tuesday, February 28th. That's today. Other approved recipients will receive payment by Friday, March 3rd. If your household contains children under the age of 16 and you have not received a call to validate your application information, please make contact with the Department of Social Services at 467-1497, 662-5526 or 762-5266. The ministry appreciates the patience of the public as we work diligently to validate applications and manage the needs for social assistance at this time. So quick recap. It's a notice from the Ministry of Social Development and Gender Affairs. They're informing the general public that payments to households with children whose head of household is employed will be delayed. Households headed by seniors, persons with disabilities, and the unemployed with children will receive their payments by the established pay date today, Tuesday, February 28th. Other approved recipients will receive payment by Friday, March 3rd. I wonder what's going on there. Yeah.
Jamster, we have the PS of Ecclesiastic Affairs, Mrs. Simpson Brown. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning to you, Mr. Gumbs, and good morning to the rest of you in the studio, and good morning to the listening public, or should I say, everyone that's under the sound of my voice.
Okay. Good morning, LV.
Mr. Gumbs, let me correct you, though. It's not Ecclesiastical Affairs. It's the Ministry of Ecclesiastical and Faith-Based Affairs.
Okay, and faith-based. Thank you. So
it's not just the Christians, we include the Rastafarians and the Muslims and whoever else, it's all faith, it's faith-based.
Awesome, awesome. So we are here today celebrating the National Day of Prayer. Can you tell us what's happening today?
But yes, awesome. Today is an awesome day. You know that the government would have approved a National Day of Prayer for the last day of February. And for 2023, it's the 28th. So today is the day. And I'm telling you, we are coming together as a nation to really pray for all that concerns us, as a nation. It's an awesome day. This morning we were a little worried because of the weather, but God just had to add his blessings, his showers of blessings this morning, and now, the sun is up in the sky, bright and clear, and I know that we're going to have an awesome day today. So we would have begun at 12 midnight. We had Pastor Bishop Matthew Hepburn. He was on the ZIZ with Pastor Clay Saunders, and I'm telling you, he had a powerful hour. I'm telling you, he really prayed, for every aspect, of our nation. And I'm telling you, that the enemy is not going to let it run like that. So yesterday, we would have checked to ensure that everything was ready to go. And I'm telling you, when we got to work this morning, 2 of our temporary supplies were stolen.
Oh, wow.
The one down at the ferry terminal and the one at Central Street where the real right, Mr. Ike, is. The temporary supplies were stolen.
Wow.
So we now had to get on to the good people, at Skellig. And I want to say thank you to John Williams. He was able to send his special team out, to help us. So we started a little late, but
When you said temporary supplies, could you give us an idea of what that is?
Okay, the temporary supply. I'm really not educated in that way, but I think it's a switch on a wire or something that the electricity department is on the post, so you can get power.
Okay.
Because remember, we have 4 stations. We have 4 stable stations. We have one in Independence Square. We have one at Paul Southwell Industrial Park. We have one at Central Street and 4th Street, and one at the ferry terminal. And persons are going there, pastors are going there every half an hour on the hour to pray.
Yes.
And so we felt that we needed to get that sound because we needed it to reach to all the churches and all the people, around Bastille. So we would have hired these sound systems. 4 of the best on St. Kitts, and to really get that sound. So they needed to get the power for their sound system. Hence, we had to get the temporary supply. But as I said to you, that has all been worked out, and it's going steady. I'm telling you, the prayer really coming forth. I mean, everywhere you turn around Bastille is prayer. And as I said, Founders started this morning at 12 midnight. The pastors went around to all the schools and St. Kitts, both the primary schools and the secondary school, public and private, and they did their prayer during their morning devotions. I'm right now, I'm calling you from the Rivers of Living Water Christian Center, and here is where we have the gathering, where a church comes on at every hour.
Okay.
And they come on and they do their prayer and they do their praise, they do their worship, and they bring forth the word. And that is going to run from 8 o'clock until 6 o'clock, and then at 7 o'clock tonight, we come in one place, to really pray for our nation. And we need to pray and put everything aside. We need to pray for our nation. Every citizen and every resident, we need to pray, against the forces of the enemy for our nation. And what I really liked is that we would have included the government workers, like different ministries are coming at different times. And when I walked in this morning, the church, it had so many persons that came out from the ministry that was assigned this morning. And the thing that was really impactful is to see this huge amount of our school children from our secondary schools. I'm telling you, they were about 70 strong. and it just really gave me pleasure to know that everybody, is involved in this day, because everybody understands. The Almighty said to call on Him, and He'll show us great and mighty things. We have to pray. And today is a day when we just put aside, all our differences and come together as a nation. Because I don't know about you, but I love St. Kitts and Nevis bad.
Yes.
We have to pray. Yes.
Yes. Well, I could sense the passion in your voice. I could sense the excitement in the ear just from listening to you. And it seemed like really good things are happening. It seems like we are having a very powerful day of prayer. And it seems like, the ministry is getting everything on the way to ensure that that happens.
Yes. When you listen to radio stations, every radio station you listen, you hear gospel. The bars down at the ferry terminal, they have toned down. I'm telling you, it's like everybody is on board. In the buses, the buses themselves, they are playing the conscious and the gospel music today. So it's like, everybody has adopted to it. Every hour and the hour, you're there at the station, we hear the 5-minute prayer, that is coming in from our pre-recorded prayers. So I'm telling you, we really mean business today, and we are doing it under a powerful theme. It says marrying prayer and praise as we declare and proclaim His lordship over our federation. Jesus is Lord, and we are interceding to reclaim grounds, to heal our land, and to return our nation to God.
Yes, amazing. So it is very fantastic. P.S. I want to thank you for the opportunity that you took your time out today to share with us what is happening in the nation. I want to say thank you. I want to welcome you, and I want to say, when I say welcome, for future discussions as you lead your ministry and as you continue to work here in St. Kitts and Nevis.
Well, thank you. But one other thing I forget to mention is our mobile prayer unit. We have our mobile prayer unit going out in the countryside. So we have one in the west side of the country and one on the east side of the country. Churches are open. As I said to you, we're not leaving no stone unturned today.
Yes.
You understand? We're doing it in unison, as one voice. So the Almighty can really hear us. Heal our land. And I'm telling you, it's awesome. It's awesome.
Wonderful.
I can feel the energy in the church, and as I drive around by the different prayer stations, I'm telling you, you can hear them a mile away. So if you're in your workplace, if you're in your house around Bastia, I'm telling you, you're hearing the prayers for our nation today. And to me, it's an awesome thing. It's an awesome day.
Wonderful, wonderful, P.S. And I want to say, continue to have a wonderful day, because I know you're having one. So I want to say, continue to have a wonderful day as we continue to celebrate this National Day of Prayer.
Thank you so very much.
No
you guys
problem.
have a blessed day.
You too. Yes.
Okay, bless you.
Well, that was Elrita Simpson Brown.
Yes.
The permanent secretary of the Ministry of Ecclesiastical Affairs
And faith-based.
But that's what ecclesiastical means, I think. Faith-based. It means faith. But yeah, maybe I'll look it up. I'm pretty sure it refers to all religion and not just Christianity. But yeah, so there was that story that we remember. There was that story we didn't get to talk about yesterday. The Haitian story.
Yes.
The Haitians that were, I think they were apprehended trying to enter. Oh, there was a boat. I think there was a boat that was having some trouble, and apparently they were apprehended, and they said they were heading to St. Martin to shop. Really now? They're heading to St. Martin to shop, and they've subsequently decided that they want asylum here. So how do you go from the agency and the means to shop in St. Martin to wanting asylum. That doesn't really add up to me.
Well, there's a case, a court it's being heard by the court, so I think we should just wait and see what's the decision.
And Craig Tuckett is going to be...
Craig Tuckett has filed an injunction against the administration.
And the injunction has been granted.
Yeah.
So they cannot be deported until
the matter has been heard.
Okay.
So let's see what's going on.
Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
But, just the premise seems dodgy to me, as the British would say. No, because if you claim that you're heading to St. Martin for shopping, which, like I said, implies agency and implies means, right? So then your boat develops problems, also you claim. And now you were apprehended by the immigration authorities, and then now you are claiming asylum. So why aren't you asking for the boat to be fixed so that you can proceed on to St. Martin to do your shopping? What's going on with that?
You know, those are very interesting questions. John,
yes, but to the courts. To be fair, at least the court is going to give them a fair hearing. So we'll see what the outcome of this is.
So I think it's time for us to take a short break.
Okay, so we're going to hear from our sponsors and we will come back.
WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is Win FM.
Buster! We run things are run we. Buster! Buster! Living color, do it differently. Buster! Buster! Large and in charge, like for the party. Buster! Buster! We set the pace, then everybody follow it.
7 flavors, best taste. Buster! Bolder, better, better. Pick your color.
We set the pace, then everybody follow it.
Buster! Live in full color. Buster!
Teacher says you need to buy the workbook so I can keep up in class.
Your teacher does pay me? Every time I turn around is another textbook, another shoe, something you need.
She says I won't pass if I don't get it.
You're not smart enough to pass anyway. You think you're going to be better than that good-for-nothing father of yours? You look like him, your foot shaped like him, and you're not bright, just like him.
Verbal abuse can be just as harmful as physical or sexual abuse. If you're having trouble coping, consider other options other than taking it out on your child.
Richie, look, Mommy's sorry she spoke to you like that. We'll find the money somehow.
This message is brought to you by UNICEF, UK Aid, Crime Stoppers, and this station.
Adventures in history.
Did you know that the Slave Rebellion of 1639 was the first such revolt in the English and French Caribbean? It started in November of that year when a group of 60 African slaves and their women and children left a plantation in Capistaire and fled to the mountains. French troops penetrated the difficult terrain and subdued the group, but one of the leaders managed to hold out a little longer and became a legend as his contemporaries thought he was protected by supernatural forces. He was eventually killed in a raid.
Adventures in history. Adventures in history.
Did you know that before Warner Park was built, Springfield Pasture was the main venue in Bastia for the playing of cricket? The main cricket teams of the 1920s and 1930s were Bastia, Northerners, Progressive, Renown, St. Anne, St. Christopher, and Wanderers.
Adventures in history. Adventures in history.
It's Black History Month, and here are a few black inventors and their inventions. W. Johnson, egg beater, 1884. Frederick Jones, refrigeration for transport trucks in 1938, and refrigeration for railroad cars in 1945. J. L. Love, pencil sharpener, 1897. Elijah McCoy, automatic lubrication system for railroads and heavy machinery in 1892. Jan Matzeliger, automatic shoe-making machine that revolutionized the making of shoes in 1883. Alexander Miles, elevator in 1888. Garrett A. Morgan, gas mask that saved many lives during World War I in 1914, and the traffic light in 1923. Just a few black inventors and their inventive contributions to our world.
Adventures in history.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
Tea time, calling night, noon and morning. Tasty biscuit, just can't resist it. Tea time, calling night, noon and morning. Tasty biscuit, just can't resist it.
You can dunk it, you lick it, you taste it, you spin it, you twist it, you can mix them all together. It don't get any better. You can dunk it, you lick it, you taste it, you spin it, you twist it, you can mix them all together. It don't get any better. Anytime, whatever time. It's tea time. Whatever time. It's tea time. Snack on a delicious tea time biscuit anytime. It's tea time.
Buster! We run things, things are on we. Buster! Buster! Living color, do it differently. Buster! Buster! Large and in charge, like for the party. Buster! Buster! We set the pace, then everybody follow it.
7 flavors, best taste. Buster, bolder, better, better. Pick your color.
We set the pace, then everybody follow it.
Buster, live in full color.
Buster!
It's 9:34. National Day of Prayer. Where did the international come from? National Day of Prayer. And once again, I've got to read this notice from the Ministry of Social Development and Gender Affairs. The ministry of Social Development and Gender Affairs wishes to advise the general public that payments to households with children whose head of the household is employed will be delayed. Households headed by seniors, persons with disabilities, and the unemployed with children will receive their payments by the established pay date of Tuesday, February 28th. That's today. Other approved recipients will receive payment by Friday, March 3. If your household contains children under the age of 16 and you have not received a call to validate your application information, please make contact with the Department of Social Services at 467-1495, 662-5526, or 762-5266. The ministry appreciates the patience of the public as they work diligently to validate applications and manage the needs for social assistance at this time. 9:36. And AZ had to run off. Island Tea. Well, it's our international. It's our National Day of Prayer. I keep saying international. Where is that coming from? National Day of Prayer. It's on 9:38. If you want to call in and maybe make some affirmations, comments, maybe share, even say a short prayer, you can give me a call at 466-0989, 762-0989. Give us a call here at Island Tea. If you want to weigh in on the National Day of Prayer, you also heard we heard from Elwita Simpson Brown, the permanent secretary in that ministry, the ministry that oversees matters of faith. It's called the Ministry of Ecclesiastical Affairs, and that happens to be the ministry that the late Vance Amory was the head of. Ministry of Ecclesiastical Affairs. We heard from Elita Simpson Brown, and she laid out some of the activities that were planned for today. I think she said there's going to be pastors and so on giving short prayers and so on down at the ferry terminal and a few other places throughout the day. So if you want to weigh in, give us a call at 466-0989. 762-0989. We can weigh in on any topic. You can talk about your sentiments on this National Day of Prayer. So give me a call. We have about 20 minutes left on the show. So if you want to talk, you want to say a short prayer, you want to comment on any topic. In the meantime, I'll see if there's any stories I want to share with you guys. Things going on in the news. You guys are going to have to be my company for the next 20 minutes. It's Black History Month, and we heard a story of the Trevelyan family out of the UK who once owned plantations or a plantation in Grenada, pledging £100,000 to education and so on in Grenada to atone for their, you can say, complicity in slavery, colonialism, and all of that. And the Grenada PM wants dialogue on slavery with the UK, Spain, and France. Grenadian Prime Minister Dickon Mitchell has issued an invitation to UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak to attend discussions with the Caribbean community, CARICOM, on the need for reparatory justice for the ills of British colonialism. Mitchell issued the call today as he received an apology from members of the wealthy Trevelyan family for their ancestors' role in enslaving over 1,000 Africans at their 6 plantations. As a head of government, I want to take this opportunity to join in a public request to my fellow head of government of the United Kingdom to accept our kind invitation to commence dialogue in an open, transparent, frank, and dignified manner to talk of the need for reparative justice for the citizens of CARICOM, and to also use your good office as a convener to join with your European counterparts to address this issue with our French and Spanish counterparts in particular. And I make special mention of the Republic of Haiti, because if there is one island where it is demonstrable that the need for reparative justice exists, is the Republic of Haiti. Mitchell's calls for dialogue with Sunak, French President Emmanuel Macron, and Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez echoed one made by Laura Trevelyan as she and members of her family apologized to Grenada. So, like I said, I'm very heartened by the gesture made by the Trevelyan family. That this is not something they had to do. I mean, you have the British royal family basically refusing to apologize for all of the harm they have done around the planet, and all of the ills and evils wrought by colonialism, slavery, and so on. So the Trevelyan family is to be applauded for their gesture. So it's just not, it's just for the Arabs, the Spanish, the French, the English, the Americans to step up and respond, and the Dutch, of course, and the Portuguese, even all of these European and Eurasian, or I should say Asian colonialists who very much need to be acknowledging their complicity and their wickedness. Let me put it that way. Okay, so if you want to give me a call, we have about 60 minutes remaining on National Day of Prayer, and I can take your calls on any topic. Azard had to run off, so I can take your calls on any topic. You might want to weigh in on the National Day of Prayer. You might want to say a short prayer. Whatever it is you want to do, you can give us a call. We have about 10 minutes left. We have another prayer coming up at 10 o'clock. As I told you before, we have prayers actually scheduled for every hour on the hour. So there's another prayer coming up at 10 o'clock. So as the program, as INT ends at 10 o'clock, we'll have another prayer. So we're going to go to the phone lines. Caller, Island T, you're on the air.
Hey, good morning.
Hey, good morning.
I'm just wondering, what do you think about the idea that reparations should not be confined to reparations, whatever form it takes, or whatever form they take, should not be confined to the Caribbean. For example, Grenada just received a small sum of money there. But what about the homes, the villages, the tribes from which the Africans were uprooted on the various villages and settlements on the mother continent? No reparations for them?
Absolutely.
It seems to me that we, the islands in the Caribbean, were secondary in respect to the sufferings and the trauma and so on that was caused, because these folks were taken from homes and families on the continent, on the mother continent. How about, I'm not hearing much talk about reparations for them, or are we expecting Africa to mount its own claim or call for reparations while we do something separate here in the Caribbean? So that if 100,000 were given to Grenada, shouldn't 100 million be given to wherever these slaves were extracted, forcibly extracted in the very first place? Just a thought.
No, but actually, I like your thought. I actually like the way. I like the way you think, Michael. Yeah, I actually like that idea, but I imagine the pushback might be that you might want to call back and weigh in on this. And of course, anyone can call, but I imagine the pushback might be, well, these are the same people who sold their own into slavery. I know that's probably going to be the pushback, but I actually think that's a good idea. But I remember, and I don't know if Michael was at this, we had a gentleman here I remember I actually walked home after that presentation with Eli X. It was down at the college. I was living at Greenlands at the time, and we had a Congolese Marlene Phillips Leak, someone like Marlene Phillips. I remember she was at the back of the room recording it. We had a Congolese historian here, and he was talking about, he was presenting paintings and so on. Now, apparently, back in the slaver period, the slave ships, apparently journalists of a sort used to accompany the slavers when they went to West Africa to harvest Africans. And I remember the Congolese historian presented paintings. So now obviously there were no cameras, so the journalists, they used to paint tableaus of stuff going on, and he was pushing back big time against the idea that Africans sold their own into slavery, and he presented evidence. He presented paintings which showed the Africans. I don't understand how I'm the only one who remembers this. No, I've never heard anyone else talk about this presentation down at the technical college. And I always use this argument when people talk about, oh, we were the ones who sold ourselves into slavery. I remember this Congolese gentleman, he presented pictures of the paintings showing the Africans putting up stiff resistance to the slavers as they try to encroach on their settlements and kidnap them and so on. There were paintings depicting resistance. Now, I'm not saying for 1 minute that there wasn't for every 10 pockets of resistance they met, there wasn't maybe two instances of Africans actually selling their own, because we knew that this would have happened due to the fact that you had tribes warring, and they would capture the vanquished from the other side, and it's conceivable that they could have sold some of these people into slavery. But I also heard that even in the minority of instances where this happened, a lot of the tribes that would have done this, they expressed horror and even contrition, because they had no idea that this was what was going to happen to the people that they handed over. But it is important to note that this was most definitely in the minority, and it really pains my heart to hear to hear people who look like me telling me, "Oh, we sold our own into slavery," when this was not the majority. This was not the majority reality. Caller, go right ahead.
Good day.
Oh, hey.
I support the idea of reparations as well, if only from the perspective that we should try and get whatever we can get because of what was done to us. But I don't agree that we should be all consumed by it. Right? Because, I mean, if throughout history, there are so many examples of man's inhumanity to man. If you are going to say, well, let's have reparations in one place, then the argument can be made for reparations everywhere else. I mean, the U.S. might as well give back North America to the Indians. You know, where do you stop, right? So while I agree, once you can get it, and you won't get anything unless you advocate for it, I don't think we should be all consumed by it.
But
if you get it, fine.
But
if
I
you
always
don't get it,
I always think that these equanimous arguments are just a way to deflect, because people always come up and say, well, if you're gonna do it for this, you gotta do it for everyone. So we can't do it because if we do it, I don't think all of these. I don't think every instance is well, maybe in reference to the Native Americans. Yeah, I probably can't say that it's not equal. I probably can't say that in that case, but I understand where you're coming from. But
right,
sometimes
I mean, and that's the whole point. I mean, you can't. You would never. It would never happen that all the injustice in the world has been basically compensated for. It will never happen. And I do agree, wherever possible, let it happen. Okay? However the Jews got it done in their case, good for them, and we should try to apply probably some of their methods, because their methods essentially was build up yourself, become influential, and then make an impact on the people who were responsible, right? But I don't see us. It doesn't seem as if we're going that way, right? It seems as if we've resorted to begging and cajoling and asking for hoping for the good offices or the moral compass of our once oppressors. Get reparation.
Since I have you on the line, let me ask you.
Instead of just demanding it, yeah?
Since I have you on the line, let me ask you, did you hear Dr. Janice Daniel Hodges' presentation?
Yes, I did.
There's something she said which I like you to weigh in on. She was talking about, because this is kind of, this is part of the reparative argument in a sense. She was talking about, I asked her about what she would do to diversify the economy, and she was basically making a case for a diversification of the economy based on climate change. And she talked about all the funding that was available for setting up industries related to climate change. Well, that seemed a little I thought of it because of what you just said. And it seems dangerously close to that kind of handout kind of culture that you were just criticizing. What are your thoughts?
The thing is, again, it's a case of if you don't advocate for it, you probably won't get it. The fact is, those kinds of climate-related things, those are it's a buzzword now, it's fashionable, and that's where the West would like to put their money. Well, it's their money as of now, and therefore you can say they have a right to decide what it's spent on and how it is spent. Okay, unless we are prepared, pretty much we are prepared to have a homegrown solution. And unfortunately, I don't think we have the technology. We still depend on the larger countries for technology. And this involves technology. Since we can't have a homegrown solution, since we can't say go back to coals or change our diet and those sorts of things, import just smaller sized engine cars, those kinds of things that will have a real impact as well. We're not prepared to do that. And so we're left doing the exact same thing I just talked about, begging and trying to access funds from those countries, and they decide on what terms, those kinds of things.
But doesn't that seem like a questionable foundation to build economic diversification on?
Well, I'm not so sure. The climate change, the thing is, we have to do something about it.
Yeah, that I understand. But then
Right.
she didn't say anything. I thought she was going to say, well, agriculture. And granted, I know St. Kitts Nevis, we don't have the economies of scale, but we still,
Right.
I still think we can put a sizable dent in the import bill, because there are a lot of redeeming qualities that whatever little agriculture we can do can have. There's a lot of differentiation we can do. We might not be able to. Obviously, we're not going to be able to generate the huge numbers that these bigger countries can generate. But I think that there's something to the idea that there are a lot of premium crops we can produce that we can sell at a high price simply because of the quality and where it came from and that kind of thing.
Brandon and so on. But
Exactly.
You see, if you've noticed around here, we tend to do two things. One is follow the path of least resistance, right? And secondly, to emulate. And you notice that there's no small island state really that you can say, let's craft our agricultural policy from, right? And that's probably because it's so much easier and so much cheaper to get food from elsewhere. And we haven't had the kind of crisis, COVID notwithstanding, we haven't had the kind of crisis that will wake us up and tell us, you better do this or else, right? It would take a really severe crisis, like a total blockade of food coming in. And then you see people start to plan.
But the
because
thing
they
is,
have to survive.
The thing is, we did see a very heartening uptick in kitchen gardens and people doing
right, but
farming.
it was not sustained, and it was not sustained.
So you think there's been a downturn on that front?
It's so much easier. It wasn't sustained, and it will not be sustained if it's so easy to just go to the supermarket and buy food at a reasonable rate, at a reasonable cost. You see, because there are two ways to approach it. You can either make it really expensive to import food, and then people would look for alternatives, okay? Or you can just continue as is and concentrate the diversification efforts in other areas. And I think we've selected the other areas because it's the easier thing to do. One, we don't have to pay for the development, the research and development, the R&D that goes into the technology. Somebody else does that for us. And so we prefer to just buy that technology and then use it. We become end users, so to speak, of the technology rather than innovators.
Yes.
That's unfortunate. I guess that's just part of being small, and, it's very... We constantly speak about punching above our weight, but that's not easy to do. That's for a small country, that's more the exception than the rule.
Yeah, it just seems,
unfortunately, something we have to live with.
It just seems. I guess you're sensing my ambivalence about her answer to my economic diversity, and I sense some ambivalence from you too.
Well, the thing is, the question, the big elephant in the room question is, what's your alternative?
Yes.
Did you expect something of shattering from Dr. Daniel Hodge?
But we also, but the thing is, we also can. There's also room to grow as far as the premium tourism product goes. I would say Nevis has a lot of St. Kitts and Nevis have a lot of there's a lot of upside as far as premium tourism
potential in the area.
In that, so.
I mean, no question about that. And so that's one of the areas to try and maximize current. Because remember, we were pretty much diversified in the sense of, not so much in the sense of all pillars of the economy being equal. We had manufacturing, we had tourism and financial services, we had the CBI, agriculture was minute in comparison to its share of the GDP, compared to the others. What we might have tried to do was bring back that balance, okay? Increase agricultural output so that you have essentially, I mentioned those 4 pillars, each of them contributing, let's say, 25%. And don't you think we would have been all right? That's diversification in a sense, because if any one of those experience a downturn, like, for instance, in COVID when tourism went out, you'd think that the others can pick up the slack. Manufacturing would have continued, the other areas would have continued and pick up the slack. But it seems as if, for instance, we will let the manufacturing thing, it seems as if it's being phased out because factories are closing down and there seem to be no attempt to replace them. Okay?
Yes.
And so we're losing that, we're becoming more dependent on one particular, or two pillars in particular, tourism, the CBI, for instance, and without trying to maintain the balance in the economy that I think diversification helps.
Yeah.
That's it's unfortunate, but again, it goes back to the question: what do you do? Very easy.
Yes.
To identify the problem, but solving it is where the rubber meets the road, and that unfortunately is.
There you go.
It's tough. That's tough.
Okay. Okay, we have to leave it there.
Right.
Yeah, great. Great, Wayne, as usual. We have to leave it there for Island Tea. We have, it's National Day of Prayer. We have another prayer coming up at right after I close things off here. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. We'll be back tomorrow with Island Tea at 8. This is Jamsa signing off. Here comes another prayer. It's 3 minutes after 10 o'clock.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
Greetings. I am the Reverend Darren Carlos, priest in charge of the St. Paul